Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and this week is a big week, of course, because it's leading up to that new moon solar eclipse in Libra. So before we get to that, let's recap last week. So one transit that I found really beautiful is when the moon was in Gemini on Tuesday, when she wasn't facing that square to Neptune, which was on Wednesday. Wednesday's energy was kind of chaotic. However, Tuesday, the moon was making that exact trine to the sun. And so, in terms of social energy or your mind being quick witted, not sure if you found that on your end. I know for me, how it manifested, I felt like a ping ball machine, but in the best way possible. That I was able to get so much done, very prompt, very easy, very fast. And my mind was just very clear headed, and it led to beautiful productivity. So, this is just one of those things, especially one, if you have lots of air energy, it would be curious to reflect back on Tuesday. Did you feel that it was productive, or did you feel like it was overwhelming? Because sometimes when there's an excess of an element being activated, it can be overload. However, if you don't have a lot of air energy in your chart, you might have found those transits on Tuesday of last week very beneficial. I'm bringing this up because we have a lot of air energy being activated this week around this eclipse, because now we have Mercury in Libra, and the sun and moon and Mars are going to be in Libra as well throughout the week. So there's going to be a lot happening there. So I just want to give you all a heads up that it can still aid in productivity. But if it was a lot last week, especially Tuesday and Wednesday, to make sure that you're doing grounding practices to use that earth element to bring you back. And this is just something fun that I find with astrology can be little touches, especially regarding now Venus. She's out of her post-retrograde shadows. Venus is making a trine to my Aries moon in the fourth. And these roses have been perfect, beautiful, lush, vibrant. Sometimes when I buy roses, 2 or 3 days in, they just kind of droop, and it's really frustrating. It's like no matter how I cut the stems or put in whatever food or additions, they can just seem not to work some days. But I often find personally, when Venus is making nice aspects to the moon, especially since the moon is in my fourth house, which is the home, that touches of beauty or certain things that I get from my home are just more vibrant, or I feel more luxe or beautiful or grounded in my home. So this is just like another little tidbit for those of you that have fourth house placements, whatever placement it is. If Venus is making a nice aspect, whether it's a conjunction, a sextile, or a trine, that adding little touches of beauty to your home may go a long way to make you feel either more beautiful, aligned, or like love is coming in. Okay. In terms of announcements, the one question service is currently closed because I'm working on other content for eclipse season, also giving myself a chance to integrate, because these eclipses are going to be monumental, as per usual, including this upcoming eclipse. So I am going to be hosting a live eclipse gathering over Zoom on the Saturday, on the 14th. If there's enough interest, I may also open one on the Friday so that there's different times, different days. But that is now available for purchase. The description and the link, it's all below. You can click that if you want to purchase a ticket. I keep it very small. There's only going to be 6 openings. But like I said, if there's enough interest and it sells out and people are wanting, then I can open up another slot on Friday. I have time to do that. And one final thing before we hop into transits, I feel like a lot of times humans, the collective, we focus on the negative or when things aren't going well. And to shift that, to shift in a more expansive, elevated mindset, I want to add a little segment called greatest victory of the week, in terms of like when we're recapping the previous week, so that we can share this and build this community and build this positive energy. We're all encouraging each other. We're seeing how the work is working, because that's often a big thing, right? When we're shifting a paradigm, we want to see examples of that what we are working towards is possible, so that the new paradigm, the new mindset can gather evidence for that to be true. So if we are in a community and we're seeing how these transits are benefiting all of us, and we celebrate each other's victories, we're just building a beautiful frequency that we can all attune ourselves to every single week as we connect. So my greatest victory from last week was going to a 7 a.m. yoga class. I've been getting back into my yoga practice. I'm also in the 6th house portion of an 8th house year. For those of you who know, but I've been focusing a lot on health in the past couple of weeks. So it may seem like something small, but for me, it's making the time, the dedication, just take that hour for myself every week and dedicate myself to yoga. And I would always justify not going to yoga because I like being physical when I work out and I stretch every day, but stretching for 5 to 10 minutes is not the same as going for an hour. And I always feel better afterwards, even if in the moment it doesn't feel as good, which I feel like is a very good overall view of sometimes when we're starting something new or getting back into a routine, maybe it might feel uncomfortable or it's not our favorite at first, but then you start seeing the results, you start seeing how it's going to aid you on your journey. So if you feel called, there's obviously no pressure. If you want to comment on your greatest victory, it can be from last week or it can be during the week if you want to come back and type it in. I think that would be a lovely addition to our week ahead breakdowns, okay? So let's hop in. Leading up to the eclipse, in my opinion, the transits are very straightforward. I want to recap though. Mercury is zipping through Libra. Mercury's non-gender, or non-binary, beautiful energy. But Mercury entered Libra on Thursday of last week. So it's already at 8 degrees, which is wild that Mercury is going this fast. So this is another reminder to look at the Libra ruled part of your chart, because now we have Mercury, the sun, and Mars. Mars is finishing up its transit. It's going to be moving into Scorpio on the 12th, but this is going to be heavily activated. And this is a good thing to note because when the eclipse happens here later on in the week as well, this will all be activated even more so. So understanding the Libra rule part of your chart is important. And in addition, remember that Venus just entered Libra. Venus just entered Virgo on Sunday, so October 8th. This is important because now Venus is making this opposition to Saturn. What this means is that there's likely to be something that you're wanting to commit to, taking more serious, adding maturity. For those of you going through your Saturn return, this might also be a time where you're wanting to be either more creative, focusing on your health, being more structured and pragmatic. Often with a Venus Saturn, it can sometimes feel the pressure of time or like you're not doing enough. This is also an invitation to go deeper into your emotions, to understand what emotional blocks, what may be boundaries or pressures in the past kept you further away from love. The good news here is that Venus is exalted in Pisces. So there's a little bit of mutual reception. So this will help Saturn maybe not be as cold or rigid. There's going to be opportunities for you to find a solution. This can also be a time too where you go deeper into the work with coach, mentor, trainer. I've been seeing this a lot collectively, and then also with the one questions that did come in that I wrapped up, a lot of it was having accountability and support, so it doesn't feel like you're alone or that you have someone to release these emotions so you're not holding it all in. So whatever that means for you, just understand that there's going to be a layer of where you're wanting to commit more time, focusing on yourself, focusing on boundaries, especially in regards to Venus's domains. And I mean, we had pretty much a Venus masterclass this year with that Venus retrograde. So this is likely something that will be obvious or loud, or where you're like, cool, I now want to commit myself to this so I can get a better Venusian result, whether that's love, beauty, wealth, whatever you deem important, that's likely to be coming up. And if you want to go even further, you can look at the houses in your natal chart ruled by Pisces and Virgo. And this will be amplified if you have placements natally in those early degrees of the mutable signs. Reminder, the mutable signs are Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini, okay? Now, also on Monday, the moon is making that square to Uranus. So it could be an emotional day. And I think just with this opposition as well, it could be maybe daunting at first, or comparing yourself to where you're at for your age or next to your contemporaries. It could be a lot. However, with a moon Uranus square, it can be that discomfort or that frustration that propels you forward to then take action to shift your circumstance so you don't stay in that feeling. So this can be one of those things where maybe you're not going to be scrolling on social media, it might not be conducive, but if you are scrolling and you're feeling a certain type of way, ask yourself what needs to change the mutability of this Venus-Saturn opposition in Pisces and Virgo. What needs to change for you to get in a better emotional state? Because the moon is also making that sextile to the sun, South Node, and Mars. So there's something here that needs to be initiated, Libra being a cardinal sign, for you to feel more grounded and secure emotionally in your relationships, in your work. I think it's going to be very loud and very obvious. So just be mindful that Monday is likely to be an emotional day. Make sure you're taking the time for yourself and to set strong boundaries. Tuesday. Now we have the moon in Virgo, which is going to add to that energy of noting which house Virgo rules in your chart, because there's going to be some nice activation here with the moon making this applying trine to Jupiter, this conjunction to Venus. So the moon is happy. She gets to connect with both benefic planets. We do have this opposition with Saturn. However, she's next to Venus. So now she has some love or some support as she's going against Saturn. Saturn oppositions are tricky. They can be very challenging. So this is again where you're not going to be able to run away from the truth. It is what it is. It can be one of those things where you realize that you're repeating a similar pattern over and over again, or that something needs to change. Remember, we are in eclipse season, grand endings and grand beginnings. There may be a relationship that is no longer working. If we're talking about Venus, Saturn, where it's like you've been trying and trying and trying, and maybe you just need to take a break. Maybe you need to have a boundary set with that person so you have time to integrate, especially as we're coming up to the eclipse. So if you feel that you need time and space from something or someone, Tuesday might be the time to implement that so that you can feel like you have the time to breathe and to integrate. And this is going to continue on to Wednesday, but Wednesday is a really strong day because once we get to Wednesday, we have this moon trine energy happening, which is really beautiful in terms of expansion, healing. And this is an earth duality, right? Virgo and Jupiter, Virgo and Taurus. So there's likely to be something in the earthly realm, whether it's health, wealth, opportunity, that is going to ground you to lead to a positive resolve, right? Once we get to Wednesday, though, we're already moving into the dark moon phase. So that's why I'm being very particular on Tuesday as a reminder that there's likely to be distance or space or a boundary that is going to benefit you. If it doesn't feel good, if you don't want to do it, say no. No is such a Saturn word. And remember, no is not a bad thing. You are taking time for you in the integration for one of the most intense eclipses that we're going to have this year. Take the time for yourself. Remember, time is very much within Saturn's domain. Now, going back to Wednesday, we also now are in this position of having that wide opposition to Neptune. So this is also a day where I wouldn't be scrolling on social media. I wouldn't be hanging around certain people. Ideally, like Wednesday, Thursday, if you have the means to maybe do a half day or work from home, I would definitely do that. Be very cognizant of like humans and being around humans at like public transit, supermarkets. I personally wouldn't want to be in a sardine can if I could avoid it. Grounding your energy. This is also a great time for you to go deeper into yourself. Be silent, right? This is a solar eclipse. The sun is being eclipsed. The light of the sun is being swallowed or stolen or eaten. So it's an invitation to go into those dark recesses of your subconscious to do the healing work. So if you could do maybe Reiki, meditation, breath work, if you work with a coach or a mentor or a spiritual guru, Wednesday is a fabulous day to have a session because then it's preparing you for what's to come. And we also have Mars's last day in Libra before it shifts into Scorpio. So there might be something very loud or going out with a bang that happens in regards to peace of mind, relationships, what is no longer serving you in terms of passion or motivation, to recalibrate yourself to then move forward into Thursday. Thursday, there's a lot going on. I'm just going to be honest with that. Because remember, we're still in this dark moon phase, but there's likely to be a call to action or something that you feel drawn to, or like you're in the strategy phase. You are now thinking about the long game. You might be thinking how you want to round out the rest of the year. You might already be planning into 2024. This is because now Mars is in Scorpio. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio and Aries. I get a lot of questions about this. People thinking that Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. It's the modern ruler. But if we're looking at traditional Hellenistic astrology, Mars also rules over Scorpio. And if you understand Scorpio traits, Scorpionic traits, Mars and Scorpio makes a lot of sense. But that's another conversation for another time. What I do want to talk about here is that Mars is now making this trine to Saturn. So with this energy, that's why I'm talking about the strategy, the discipline, the focus, the foresight, the long game. There's going to be something that's propelling you forward where you are going to be that like silent warrior in the night planning to make that perfect strike, whatever that is for you. This should be something that you want to like really sink your teeth into. Mars and Scorpio isn't about the immediate result. It's willing to wait and to find the perfect opportunity to make its mark, to strike, to get what it needs out of the situation. So another way of taking this further, of course, is looking at the houses in your natal chart ruled by Scorpio and Pisces, because that will show you where this long-term planning is likely to take place. Now, we can also see this grand Earth trine taking place. So this might be a strategic plan to make more money. This might be a strategic plan to get a better job. This might be a strategic plan to get your health in order, because this Moon, Pluto, Uranus activation is happening really beautifully. So there might also be a stark shift in emotions after the past couple of days where it's like, oh, this is what I need to do. And it'll also be like a very prophetic, like dream, intuition, spiritual download, and emotional breakthrough, which then will lead you to want to take action to go further. So Thursday is a very beautiful day for immense downloads and clarities. Take time for yourself. Remember, we still have this Moon Neptune opposition. Now is not the time to be around superfluous people and situations. If you don't need to be out in public, do not. This is a time where you go inward into your meditation space, into an office, into nature to be with yourself. Please, please, please. It would be highly advantageous. There can be a lot of ground covered internally into the depths of your subconscious and your soul. That's what we're working with. Friday. Now we see all this activation here with that Libra house, which is just really getting us ready for the eclipse. So if you did not heed my warning, you might feel exhausted or tired, or like you just need time for yourself to quite literally rebalance. We have Moon, Mercury, and the Sun, and the South Node all in Libra. So both luminaries and Mercury. So there might just be conversations that are being had. There could be the thought or the mindset that things are not balanced in a certain part of your life. Where do you need more balance? It's likely to be very obvious and very loud on Friday, which then brings us to Saturday, which of course is going to be this eclipse. So with eclipses, we can see that this new moon solar eclipse is very, very close to the South Node. The South Node can be a releasing of energy, something that is no longer aligned. I always kind of say with eclipses, especially a South Node eclipse, you can do it the easy way or the hard way. And the easy way is you knowing what's not balanced, what's in alignment, and you're going to let that go. You're likely going to be having a conversation. Conversations of closure or clarity are very likely here to then know for sure where you stand in a certain relationship, a certain power dynamic, right? Because we also have these luminaries making an applied square to Pluto. So there could be also something in terms of either career, family, friendships, lovers, where it's like, this isn't fair. This isn't balanced. I'm not doing this anymore. It could also be internal in terms of how you're showing up in work and in rest, in your masculine and in your feminine. It's going to appear differently for everyone, of course, but looking to the Libra house will show you what needs to be released and let go to then bring a new sense of balance or order moving through. Remember, with eclipses, you might be feeling this energy already, reassessing what needs to be balanced, reassessing what is fair, what is just. There could also be very much legalities, contracts, negotiations that are happening. Maybe there are certain jobs or things that you're really wanting, certain positions, certain relationships to be forming. This is just not the time to push those things. And it doesn't mean that you can't keep manifesting, you can't keep doing the work. It just means that you want to sit with yourself. And we've been saying that all week, that it's an invitation to go inward and go deeper to see what you are feeling, to then make a more strategic plan moving forward, especially with that Mars and Scorpio making that trine to Saturn. And then Sunday is beautiful because now we have the moon conjunct Mars. And for some, this might be expressing your anger, expressing your rage, really feeling the pain and the grief of letting go of a certain relationship, or the frustration of not getting what you're wanting. So feel that. Do not hide from that. However, we have the moon now also getting love from both benefic planets. She's making that applied opposition to Jupiter, and she's also making the applied sextile to Venus. So there's going to be some good that comes out of this. There's going to be something that's going to be beneficial. So it could be the expression of the emotion. Like Scorpio goes deep, 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 deep. Do not go surface. It's kind of like that scene from The White Lotus, the first season, with Jennifer Coolidge's character, and she's with her romantic interest. and she like has a complete meltdown. And she's like, this is me. Like, you can run away if you want to. And he's like, no, I still want to stay. That could also be an energy where it's like you feel like you're falling apart, but people still love you. People still want to be around you. And it's going to feel so good letting that all out. So whatever that means for you, of like going deeper, expressing your emotion, expressing your joy, like knowing that you can have it all, knowing that this is a new feeling you have to have, allow yourself to feel on Sunday to see what else comes through. All right. Boom. So our astrology question of the week comes from Emma Griffin, 1135. Hey, Emma. On October 12th, Mars enters Scorpio. My chart ruler is Mars. I'm a Scorpio rising. See, if you know, you know. I was wondering what type of impact that could have on me, and in what ways could it manifest? Would it affect Aries because their ruler is also Mars? Yes and yes. So let's talk about this. This is talking about the ruler of your ascendant. So if the ruling planet of your ascendant is moving into a new sign, no matter what sign it is, you're going to feel differently. And that's why, remember back in March of this year, when Saturn left Aquarius and moved into Pisces for our beautiful Capricorn and Aquarius risings, you might have felt a completely different shift on what you were focusing, because Saturn was in a Saturn ruled sign for the past 5.5 years before that ingress into Pisces. So it completely changed the game. And maybe you didn't notice it at first, but it's likely, if you're a Capricorn or Aquarius rising, that certain themes have been shifted, or you're focusing on different things since March of this year. And that's going to continue on until February of 2026, because Saturn, out of all the other chart rulers, moves the slowest. So for Scorpio risings and Aries risings, when Mars is now going to be in Scorpio, it's probably going to feel very good. It's probably going to feel like you're in the driver's seat, or that you have more strength and vitality, given that Mars is in strong dignity, has a lot of power in the sign of Scorpio. Now, if you're a Scorpio rising, that means that Mars is in your first house. What that means is an increase in drive, passion, motivation. It could also be an increased libido, or feeling a certain type of way in that category. But strategy is something I very much affiliate with Mars, and especially when it's in Scorpio. So that's what I was talking about, especially now with Mars making that trine to Saturn. And that's also important too, if we're looking at chart rulers, the aspects that it's making to your chart, and then also the transit planets, is that there's something that you're going to want to sink your teeth into and be more committed and more grounded in. So yes, it's going to be a boost in drive, motivation, and then also strategy of what you're wanting to create long term. So if you are an Aries rising, that means that Scorpio rules your 8th whole sign house. So there could be energy that you're talking about in terms of investments, money, healing, surgery. So it could be a wide variety of things, given that the 8th house speaks to many different things. But for my Aries risings watching this, it could be where you go deeper into the healing, deeper into the emotional capacity of what you need to express. And this can also be a deep dive into your creative field as well, to call in more money or more resources. Also with Mars, it speeds up things, right? So this is for any Mars transit, it wants to accelerate it. But with Scorpio, it's very purposeful and putting in that work or increasing results, so that when it has the perfect chance to strike, it will succeed, or it's gaining intelligence or gaining strategy or gaining tactical abilities so that it can perform very fast when it needs to. It's like that one saying, you can do 1,000 kicks one time or one kick 1,000 times. Which would you rather do? Scorpio would probably want to do one kick 1,000 times to know that it can deliver the fatal blow when it needs to in battle. Whereas maybe Aries want to have all the different options. And for the rest of us who aren't a Scorpio or Aries rising, you can still look to those two parts of your chart, the Aries ruled part of your chart and the Scorpio ruled part of your chart, because they're going to be affected with this transit, with the Scorpio ruled part of your chart being most influenced. And I would even say, in my professional opinion, if your luminaries are ruled by Scorpio or Aries, this is going to give you an increased drive as well. Or at least, like I said, given the influence to Saturn, especially this week, that you're going to be more meticulous with how you exert energy and not wanting to waste it on random, extraneous, superfluous things that are no longer in alignment. All right. So that's what I got for you this week. As a recap, I will be hosting a live eclipse gathering over Zoom. So you can find the link to that in the description of this video. Please feel free to share your greatest victory of the week, whether it's from last week or if you want to come by later this week. And please, please, please take time for yourself. There's so much gold to be harvested by going inward, by being still, by taking time away from the humans and focusing on you. Okay. Sending you all the love for this eclipse, and I'll see you on the other side next week. Bye.